Welcome back to my humble little channel. I'm really excited for this video today because I'm working on this one-off guitar. As far as I can find, there is no G5420T that is in London gray, except for the one that has the cream top and the sides and back are in London gray. And I searched and I can't find one like this, and the serial number is not 100 or less, where it shows the prototypes and the one-offs. It's like the 300th. I'm having trouble saying that. Let's see what it says here. Yeah, it's 223. But yeah, I looked all over. I cannot find a guitar like this. So let's get started. No playware. This guitar is a 2019 and it has not been played. That's what it's so awesome about my connection. I get these guitars that have been strummed and that's it. One thing I can clearly see right out the get-go is the bridge is down all the way. And I think the action should be lower. What I'm going to do is take this capo. Let's see if we got relief in the neck before we do anything. People always cut off the strings right away. I try to use the strings to find out what's going on with the guitar. So I'm going to hold down here. That's my straight edge. And let's just see what happens. Yeah, it's got too much relief. So the very first thing I'm going to do is, where are we? I'm going to make this neck totally straight, or, with almost zero relief. There's a lot more relief than it looks like on the camera. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to evaluate what's going to happen next. Okay, over this way. Well, this Gretsch has some issues. I got the neck totally straight now, and it's cut pretty low at the nut. Now that the neck is straight, like, I'm sure it will buzz a little bit. A little bit there. There's some high frets. Well, here, check this out. I try to play the first fret. Listen to this. So, I'm going to use my fret rocker. And, I see a lot of people, they'll take a file and they go over all the frets. I'm going to tell you why I don't do that. Because I've had guitars where there's high frets. I take the file, I go over all the frets. And this is a file. This is a flat bastard. And then you take this after you file the guitar and the fret is still rocking. And I know some people will use glue and squeeze them in, and some people will try hammering them down. I've tried hammering them down, and sometimes they pop up. So basically, here's what I do. I find one like this one. This is a really obnoxiously high fret. That's really obnoxious. So what I usually do is I'll sand it down with like 400 or 600, and I'll just keep checking it all along. Just keep checking it. Once it's perfectly level with the frets next to it, then I do all the rest of them. Once they're all level, then I will lightly dress everything with like 800 up to 3000 and polish them. Because I don't want to remove any precious fret wire. Yeah, that fret is really, I can see that it's a little bit high. But in the long run, doing it this way, you don't have to worry about them popping up or coming loose. I mean, they've been in this position now. This is a 2019 for 5 years. This guitar just sat somewhere unplayed. That's why I love my guitar connection. Most of them don't. Only one guitar out of, I don't know how many, had a tiny bit of fret wear. Just one. So what I'm going to do is get the neck perfectly straight. I'll detune the strings except for the two E's. I'll detune them a bit too, but I want to get the neck as straight as I can get it before we do anything. So let's get going. Okay, so we do have some high frets. Before I mask everything up, I'm going to, this 24 3/4 is spacing out. I don't remember what, I don't know what exactly the scale length is, but this 24 3/4 fits in there. Okay, we've got relief. You see at the end how you can see light underneath here? You can see the light. So there's like a lot of relief at the end of the neck. I always like relief. And I'm going to try to do this without scratching this beauty. There's a, you can see some light up there, right? So, feeling a little rocking here. So I'm going to play with the truss rod and get this as straight as I can. This is a two-way truss rod, and I don't really like two-way truss rods. The only time they're worth their weight is when you have a neck that's like backbowed. Like if this neck went like this, they can pull it out of that. But it's weird. Adjusting them is weird. It's like a lot of times you don't, with just a normal one, it's so easy to feel how, you get to know how strong the neck is, the actual wood, how strong it is. And see how I made a fist? Strength! And it's, I just prefer the one way, the old standard way. But in a jam, if you have that kind of issue, that could help you out. So I'm going to let off that truss rod a bit. I'm going to get this till it's totally flat, and then we'll mask this thing up, tape it up, and start hitting those high frets, because they need to be hit, and hit good. Okay, I got all the fret ends done. That took a while. So now I'm going to mask this guitar up. And whenever you do work like this, always cover the finish, especially if it's a customer's guitar. You don't want somebody who's really fanatical about things to get a big scratch on their guitar. I mean, sometimes things happen, but I really go out of my way to be very careful. You know, oh, what am I doing? See, I gotta be careful here. I want to turn this around. Okay, let the masking begin. That was 31 minutes, I'll have you know. All right, now for the next thing, I'll explain what I do. Like, I know this fret right here is obnoxious. It's really big. Look at that. So what I'm going to do is, I've got all my sandpaper here, 600 up to 3000. And I'll use the 600 just for the high frets. So I'll keep sanding it and sanding it. Sanding it and sanding it. You don't want to sand, you don't want to make the high fret lower than the two next to it, or you're screwed. So I just keep checking it carefully. And then once it's completely level with the two next to it, I'll go to whatever one's next. Once all those high frets are done, I'll go over all the frets with 800. And the reason I don't take a file, I got a file right here, I could do that. Many times I've done that, and then there's still a high fret. So it's like I'm not going to waste my time, you know, leveling doing a really quick job. I want to make sure everything's level. And I found that when sometimes when you hammer them in, they pop back out. I mean, some people have a way of clamping them and gluing them. If that works for them, that's good. But these frets have been in here 5-6 years. They're where they want to be, right? And that's why I do them individually, because I find the file doesn't do it. And what these companies should do, this is what they should do if they were smart and cared about fretting, right? I mean, I'm an old bipolar guy, and I figured this out. When you watch people put in frets, they tap them all in, then they hammer them all in. Well, why not just tap them into position, put them in a little bit, and have a big call, and it squeezes all the frets down at once, and like for a minute. I mean, come on, take a minute, and it just holds them all in for 1 minute with some hydraulic force. And then when this thing comes off, I bet you wouldn't get all this. Because if you got somebody hammering frets in, I mean, it's not going to come out perfect. It's not going to. So I don't know why they don't do something like that. I know they're in a super hurry to get the guitars out, and that's why you have $2,000 Stratocasters that have high frets and they don't play that good, and they don't want to set them up. Anyway, the rant is over. I'm going to hit these high frets now, and then I'm going to dress everything, and then I'll polish everything, and it's going to make this guitar great. It's going to make it the way it should have came from the factory. That's what it's going to do. And something fell behind the bench there. I don't know what it is. I don't even see it. Anyway, let's go. Doing these two took 47 minutes. This one was like, what was it? Was it 5? Or was it 8? Can't quite. I think this one was 8. That's really obnoxiously high. None of them should be over 2. But it took that long, so I'm not going to bore you. There's an 8 up here, a 5, mostly I think 2s. Well, this is, I don't know. But anyway, so I won't bore you with the rest. Okay, now once that's done, I'll go and dress them all with 800. And I always, when I do that, I always take the, here, let me get the light. I do the sides a little bit, because I don't need to crown anything. And but I do go over the sides, and I try to get the edges all sanded down. Okay, all the frets are level with the frets next to them. That was quite the job. We had a couple of really high ones. That was 8 thousandths. That's high. And we had a 5 thousandths here. That is pretty high. All right, so now I'm going to go over all of it with 800 up to 3,000, and I'll do all the edges. And I like to roll the sides of the frets a little bit. I have a crowning file, but they don't really need to be crowned. I'm really trying to save as much fret height as possible. That's another reason I do it like this. Besides, it's the one way to get rid of a high fret. If you just mow all the frets down with a file, you're just losing fret height. Okay. Now I'm going to use this beam. And where's all my sandpaper? I've got a 12-inch radius block and it's warped. I just found out it's warped. I set it on there and it's wobbling around, and I just looked up it. Yeah, it's warped. So I'm going to put this away for now. It's got a workout today. And here, we'll do the first one together, then I'll go high speed. Let me get this coffee in my belly. Get in my belly. Okay, so the next one is 800. And I don't really want to bend it too much. Maybe it's going to end up bent. Got them all marked off with the old magic marker. It's all about magic. We'll just go along with, baby. Remember, the nut was kind of low. And we got some pretty big frets, so we can take a little bit off. We don't want to. Never have the block over here because that will put a bow in the neck. I might need to move over a little bit. You can hear the grit right there, And this neck has some fall away. And this thing's long. We'll measure the frets when this is all done, and we'll see how high they are. They were 53,000. Usually dressing doesn't take off very much because I don't go over them with a big file. I'm going to get rid of these high frets with a gnarly file. I'm getting rid of a lot of frets. And, of course, everybody's got their own little way to do all this stuff. The one thing I do like to do is go this way. A little bit. And this is the other thing I do when I do this. Go over the sides of the frets a little bit. I kind of like frets, the top of them like a school bus roof. I don't want them pointed, because then they just wear a groove right away. I like it to have a little bit like this. Here, I'll draw you a school bus roof. Like that. That's what I want. And if people are like, oh, well, the intonation, every single old Les Paul was like that. And then I go up here, and I'm going to do this all the way up to 3,000. And I'll do all the edges too. It's a labor of love, man. This has been a long labor. Yep. I probably won't do the edges till I get to a little finer sandpaper. Although it's 800, so maybe I'll hit it. And I'll kind of roll it a little bit and just kind of go over them. And now I'm going to go to 1000 and up and away to 3. So I will not put you to sleep. And now for all you mother lovers, mag and aluminium polish. Here we go. You can easily do this by hand. I'm choosing to use a Dremel today. All right, the frets are done. And I'm going to lemon oil the board. And as usual, I don't pour it over all the frets. What kind of jackass would do such a thing? Every guy on YouTube. I don't get that. I can see if you got a store and it's some cheap little guitar and you got another 50 cheap little guitars. But I mean, if it's a decent guitar, why would you do that? Why would you put oil on your frets? That just makes no sense to me. Sure, it takes longer, but why not? These used to be my dad's. They're for cleaning and polishing tape heads of VCRs. And you know, my dad only ever swore once. And you know what he said? Don't do things half-assed. That is the big profanity from my dad. He didn't feel the need to have to curse. But I do remember when he said that, I was kind of shocked. So this is a man, I've never heard him burp, never heard him break wind, ever. He's a kind of a class act. I like the Indian laurel. I don't mind it. I think it looks pretty cool. So that's how I do this. Oh, shucks, what's he gonna do now? Well, I got that all done and drying, and I noticed that this doesn't sit right. So I'm gonna do a little trick. I'm going to put lay some sandpaper on here and just move it back and forth on the sandpaper, because then it'll do the radius. Because I noticed that I could see light inside there and in here. And I might also need this to go down a little bit, because these were all the way down, remember? And the action, it could have been a little lower. So I'm not sure after all this if that's going to matter, but I don't want to see light through there. So I'm going to fix it there, young fella. Okay, so I marked this which way it came off with a little arrow, and I've got these guys in there. So here we go, and there's a couple of dots letting me know where I'm at. So just like this, pretty simple. I put some pretty gnarly paper in there. I think it's like some pretty gnarly 220. Yeah, see, most of it's coming off right here where I need it to come off. Because I was seeing light through the end of it. I think this is going to work out just fine. Just fine. Should get my vacuum, but I don't think I'm going to do too much. Yeah, it's coming all off right here, right where I want it to. Here, we'll go like this. Try to keep all this dust from going all over the place. All right, let's keep going. I've seen that on a couple of modern Guild guitars where the action couldn't go low enough and I had to like sand these little thumb wheels down, make them thinner so the bridge can go down lower. There's your quality control. I'm sure the people inside those factories, they're working so fast. They've got a quota, and if they don't get it, they'll get in trouble. That's the problem. Especially the person that does the fretting. The most important part of a guitar, and they speed right through it. That's where you get all these high frets. Keep some of the dust in here. Huh. Wonder if it's even worth it. I'll continue here. Well, it looks like it's laying down a lot flatter, and this is what came out of here. Granted, a lot of it hit the deck, so it's a little bit. And of course, I'll save that because I don't think I have any Indian laurel sawdust. So I'll put that in a little envelope and mark it and keep it with my different sawdust. Yeah, this is I'm pretty sure this is an old trick, unless I'm just really smart. Yeah, it's probably an old trick. I put the paper underneath here. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'd like to I'll lemon oil this. I'm going to take the knobs off, tighten everything. Now's a good time to do it. And I'll probably buff the top with some light buffing compound. There we go, right here. Some Meguiar's. I'll get, like, you can really see that, right? Meguiar's Ultimate. Okay, so I'll get this guy soaking with some lemon oil and we'll get this show on the road. It's funny, I don't like gray things. I don't like gray cars. They look like it's primer with a gloss coat on it. I don't like gray walls in houses, but I like this. This is cool. Okay, I got the Tune-o-matic back on. I lubed up everything and moved these back and forth. They were really tight. I tightened all the pots, the switch, the jack, and I buffed the top. And I'm going to throw some strings on here and we'll see what's going on. It's getting to be 5 o'clock. I've been at this for some time, at least 5 hours. No, I think it was 6 hours. I think it was 11, so I'm coming up on 6 hours. So I'm going to throw some strings on here. I'm going to throw 9s on this guitar because I want to see what it's like with strings I like. I can always put other strings on it. And I still have the original set of strings, and I know their original, how many wraps they had. They always have way too many wraps from the factory, and there wasn't any fretwear. So that's what I'm going to do. So here I go. Good morning. All right, I worked on those frets, and once I got rid of all the high frets, I looked over all the frets again, and there was a couple that needed a little, just a little bit more. It's painstaking, but I mean, that's what makes the guitar play good without getting rid of fret height, just taking care of them one at a time. And like I said previous, taking a file over all the frets, I've done that, and well, I used to do that. And then I started realizing some of the frets, it didn't take care of them. That's why I do them one at a time now. Because why file away all that fret material? It just doesn't make sense to me. I know some people can glue them down. Sometimes you can hammer them. I've done that, and then they've come back up. So I figure those frets have been in there for 5 years, right? That's a 2019 guitar. Regardless of it not being played for 5 years, it's still, those frets have been sitting in that neck for 5 years. So I don't think they want to move, really, you know. So I put strings on it, and I don't know who touched the nut or whatever, but the first couple strings, the action at the first fret is very low with the neck fairly straight. So I don't know if I want to buy a new nut. It looks like I could just pop it off and just shim it on the high side, the 1, 2, 3 string side. And I'm going to check into that and look at it. But here, let me show you what it looks like. Because I mean, I've been playing it. I played it last night. I played it this morning. It plays really good. Like Carlos is getting nervous. But anyway, here, let's go take a look at it. And I'll show you where the action is right now. Okay, let's go. This color is really growing on me. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I thought, I've never seen this color. Anyway, here's where our action is. At the 12th fret, we've got 37 thousandths of an inch, which is really nice. And on the first string, we've got 43. To put that in perspective, Gibson wants this to be 78. You have to have a pretty crappy neck to need it that high. My Lord. And they want 47 on here. And I got 37. Okay, on the 6th string, the relief at the 9th fret is 2007 inch. So we don't have, that's holding the first and last fret. 2000s, that's pretty straight. A slight issue here is, you see those first couple strings? They're only 6,007 inch. I like it to at least be 11. I've been going to 12 lately. I mean, it plays good, it rings good. So we've got 8, 8, 14, 13, 16, and 13. So it's kind of all over the place. So my choices are to get a nut or just give this one a little shim underneath it. I'm going to pop it off and just have a look-see. And then we'll go from there. Because I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I put a shim under a nut. You know, I could fill it with something, but I don't really want to do that. And if I don't like what I find, I'll just order a nut. But yeah, this thing, it plays so good now. It took I worked on it for a long time yesterday. That's why I had to continue today. I really wanted to upload it yesterday, but anyway, let me loosen these strings and get this nut off. Okay, let's pop the nut off nice and easily. Doesn't want to come off. I don't want to hit too hard. Oh. No, it didn't want to come off. Oh. Okay. They definitely glued it. It's tight. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll glue some more material to the bottom, then sand it down. I'll look through my nuts and see if I have one like this. Okay, I found this tusk nut with my nuts. So what I'm going to do is drop stuff. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the slots, and let's see if the right ones, if it tilts up a little bit like this, that'll give me what I need. Here we go. The first two are the important one. Does the right side look higher to you? I hope so. How about now? The right side higher? Very important on the first two. The rest of them, they're already a little on the high side. Just look at that first couple again. Okay, I'm going to take a look at it on the camera, and then I'll put this nut on. It looks like this nut will solve my problem. Okay, the original slot is 5.7. This is like 5.8. So I'm just going to sand it down, and I'm going to save the dust too. You never know when you need it, because I know what it goes to now, a tusk. So I think they're both the same material, same kind of nut. So yeah, I'm just going to slide it down, set it in there, and I'll just lay the strings on there and see where we're at. Well, this tusk is, well, I put it on, all kinds of space now, all kinds. I had to sand this side down so it would fit in the slot, and apparently it's 43.1 millimeters, so I've got to do the edges a little bit. So I'll probably start with this 220, and I'll finish with something a lot more milder. I'll just do a little bit with that. Maybe in fact, maybe I'm going to go get something milder. Something less abrasive. Maybe like a 320. And then I'll go up and we'll get it in and man, I'm pretty stoked about this. Here we go. Now, it took 20 minutes to cut the first and second string. 20 minutes just for those. And the one thing I've noticed with these files from StewMac, I didn't really want to buy these. I wanted to buy those yellow ones. I can't think of the name of that company, but that was during COVID and you couldn't get them. And I'm not saying these are bad, but the other ones just were more logically designed than just a regular file. But anyway, 20 minutes to cut the first two little strings. And the G string took forever to cut. But then the D, it was like I was using a chainsaw. So the one thing, you got to be careful when you're using files like this. Some of the files seem way more aggressive than others. I don't know. It's weird, but you got to really take your time. So now they're all 12,000 the way they're supposed to be. And I put a little graphite in the slots and I just played it and I used the Bixby and it stayed in tune really good. So this is, I don't know, this is really cool. So I didn't buy this guitar to keep it, but sometimes guitars get shuffled. Anyway, there's a little scratch on the bottom here, and I'm going to see about buffing that out. This is like the only mark on the guitar, and I'm thinking I might go over before I even try buffing. I'm just trying to think if I need to use a little sandpaper, something like maybe 3000. You can just feel it, so I'm gonna be careful here. Yeah, I'll probably just go over it lightly with 3000. I gotta watch this thing doesn't fall over. And then I'll buff it and we'll see what happens. I'm like Scotty, a miracle worker. Okay, this thing is completely finished. Completely done, and it's pretty nice. Okay, now the specs. The frets are 51,000 tall. They're all 12 thousandths across the whole nut, where they should be. The 12th fret on the 6th string is, what is it, 42 thousandths. And on the first string, it is 39 thousandths. The relief is about 2-3 thousandths at the 9th fret, holding the first and the last fret. And here's where the pickups are. Yeah, I did play it a while ago and it stayed in tune really good. I got some graphite in the nut there. Man, this thing is just so cool. From a guy who does not like gray. I just think this thing looks great gray. And I just don't know why it's gray. It didn't come that way. I don't get it. Well, it did come this way, but it's not supposed to. So I think that's it for today. I hope to see you again. If you want to make any comments or hit the like subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. That is awesome. And I know there's a lot of these G5420T. I know it's a really popular guitar. And I certainly do love these pickups. I really do. There's just a certain kind of clarity with them. I know that sounds weird, but there is. There just seems to be a little bit different sound. Anyway, I think that's enough staring at this thing. I hope to see you again next time, and the next one will be this guy right here, Randy Rhodes.